Prasthana abhimukho enam anugraha vilambitaha Pashyan padma palachakshu na pratashthe suhritsatam. The Lord was just about to leave, but because he was so greatly inclined towards the behavior of King Prithu, he did not depart. Seeing the behavior of Prithu Maharaj with his glorious eyes, he was detained because he is always the well-wisher of his devotees. Here the words Suhrit Satam are very significant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always very inclined towards his devotee and is always thinking of the devotee's well-being. This is not partiality. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is equal to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. But to one who particularly engages in his service, he is very much inclined. In another place, the Lord says, that a devotee always exists in his heart, and he also exists always in the heart of the devotee. The special inclination of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pure devotee is not unnatural, nor is it partiality. For example, sometimes a father has several children, but he has special affection for one child who is very much inclined towards him. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. Those who constantly engage in the devotional service of the Lord in love and affection are directly in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sitting as a super soul in everyone's heart. The Lord is not far away from the devotee. He is always in everyone's heart. But only the devotee can realize the Lord's presence, and thus he is directly connected. And he takes instruction from the Lord at every moment. Therefore, there is no chance of a devotee's being in error, nor is there any partiality on the part of the Lord for his pure devotees. Srila Prabhupada explains here that the Lord is not partial. When the Lord is specially inclined to his devotees, that is not partiality. The chance to become intimate to the Supreme Lord is available for everyone. A chance is available for everyone. So this is a so this is an interesting point, because you see the whole point is that relationship develops on reciprocation, and reciprocation is never one-sided. So Krishna has done his homework in terms of offering facility for everyone to become uh, uh, to become intimate to him to any degree. Now what remains is uh, the effort from the living entity. So that very much relates with the living entity's desire. So no relationship can be one-sided. It all depends on uh, both the people. So just like Prabhupada is giving the example, a parent may have many children, but then is especially attracted to one child. Which child? Who is especially attracted to the father? That's the point. Which child? Uh, so if the son is, no, say one particular son is rebellious, then he is not allowing the father to help him. So there is a question of reciprocation there. That's the point. So, so in this way, but one who is obedient, one who wants the father, one who wants reciprocation with the father, he wants to serve the father. The father will be naturally special inclined. That's not partiality. No, that is. So Krishna can get involved in our lives to the degree we allow the Lord. Therefore, the verse Prabhupada is quoting is Tesham Satata Yuktana. To the degree one is engaged in serving the Lord, to that degree Krishna's reciprocation can be realized. Another aspect is that the wave of this world is that the Lord, or you can say the protocol of the game, the illusionary game of this world is that the Lord should not directly barge in unless he is beaconed. That's what this material world is all about. The Lord is everywhere. The Lord is doing everything, facilitating everything. But the living entity's protocol, which is shooting out from the platform of envy, is that the Lord should not directly barge in. We should just keep everything in place. That's it. And that's what the Lord is doing. So only when the devotee beacons does the Lord come out of his love. So therefore, the Lord is not at all partial. So here the Lord is overwhelmed. Krishna is overwhelmed by the behavior of Prithu Maharaj. That how Prithu Maharaj is ready to humble himself. How Prithu Maharaj is ready to humble himself. So Krishna is so pleased with the behavior of Prithu Maharaj that he stays back, he's not going.
Because like as ordinary parent, the child is going wrong. The child doesn't listen, still we may call him, to correct.
हाँ जी हाँ
माँ बाप को बर्दाश्त नहीं होता गड़बड़ जो
यस
तो किसी ने किसी का तो सही बोलते हैं बट हम ये बात मैंने पढ़ी थी आपको बोलो नहीं तो भगवान इनडायरेक्टली बहुत हेल्प करते हैं लेकिन भगवान को इतना नहीं लगता होगा कि अपने सामने हमको गलत करते
no the same
The
thing
Lord is saying in our heart and soul, and we have out of happy we came here, and we told Lord and told do the prayer. So, what is the Lord? So, मतलब हमने भगवान को बोलते बिल्कुल
yeah so question living entity has only told the Lord not to interfere. So what is Lord's situation? The Lord's situation is he keeps trying. Therefore the Lord is described as alalaya. He never gets tired of alalaya. That means he never gets tired. He's perspiring, foaming in the mouth to create opportunities for the living entities to awaken their true identity or to come to the point of sanity. So the Lord is working hard. The Lord doesn't take rest. The Lord is working hard incessantly. That is the nature of the Lord towards the deliverance of the living entity, towards the deliverance of every living entity. The Lord is tirelessly, incessantly working hard towards the deliverance of every living entity. This is the nature. This is how the Lord reacts to it. This is Lord's love for us. Yes. So this is how the Lord is reacting. And this quality of the Lord is called as Alalaya. So the Lord is called as Alalaya. That means he is never tired of working towards the deliverance of every living entity. Gajendra Maharaj calls him as Alalaya. Gajendra Maharaj calls him as Alalaya. 8th canto it comes. So that is the Lord's heart. We can see that the Lord is arranging facilities one after the other. But yes, the Lord's help and loving reciprocation is directly perceived to the degree the living entity reciprocates. So the ball is in our court. Krishna is not partial. He is ready to give us oceanic mercy. Yes, yes. Krishna is anxious and eager.
Like as parents, how bad we can create someday this child will like someday this child will be.
Yes, correct.
And how the child ignores us and we feel so bad. We feel so bad just for the material sakes and what to think of our eternal how bad it might be.
Yes, that is
It
true.
frustrates us so much when we try to correct ourselves.
That is there. So Krishna's love for every living entity is oceanic. Therefore, Krishna is not partial. Sa adirajo rachitanjalir harim vilokitum nashakat ashrulochana akinchano vacha sabasva viklavo hridopaguhyamom adahad avastitaha. The original king, Maharaj Prithu, his eyes full of tears and his voice faltering and choked up, could neither see the Lord very distinctly nor speak to address the Lord in any way. He simply embraced the Lord within his heart and remained standing in that way with folded hands. Just as Krishna is addressed in the Brahma Samhita as Adi Purusha, the original personality. So King Prithu being an empowered incarnation of the Lord is referred to in this verse as Adi Raja, the original or ideal king. He was a great devotee and at the same time a great hero who conquered over all undesirable elements in his kingdom. He was so powerful that he was equal in fighting to Indra, the king of heaven. He gave protection to his citizens, keeping them engaged in pious activities and devotion to the Lord. He did not collect a single cent of taxes from the citizens without being able to give them protection from all calamities. The greatest calamity in life is to become godless and therefore sinful. If the state head or king allows the citizens to become sinful by indulging in illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling, then the king is responsible and he has to suffer the resultant sequence of reactions for the sinful lives of the citizens because he levies taxes on them unnecessarily. These are the principles. For a ruling power, and because Prithu Maharaj observed all the principles for a ruling chief, he is referred to here as Adi Raja. Even a responsible king like Maharaj Prithu can become a pure devotee of the first order. We can distinctly see from King Prithu's behavior how he became ecstatic, both externally and internally, in pure devotional service. Just today, we have seen in the newspapers of Bombay that the government is going to repeal its prohibition laws. Ever since Gandhi's non-cooperation movement, Bombay has been kept dry and has not allowed its citizens to drink. But unfortunately, the citizens are so clever that they have increased illicit distillation of liquor. And although not being sold publicly in shops, liquor is being sold in public laboratories and similar abnormal places. Unable to check such illicit smuggling, the government has decided to manufacture the liquor at cheaper prices so that the people can have their supply of intoxication directly from the government instead of purchasing it in public laboratories. The government failed to change the hearts of the citizens from indulging in sinful life. So instead of losing the taxes they collect to inflate the treasury, they have decided to manufacture liquor to supply to the citizens who hanker after it. This kind of government cannot check the resultant actions of sinful life, namely war, pestilence, famine, earthquake, and similar other disturbances. Nature's law is that as soon as there are discrepancies in regard to the law of the Lord, which are described in the Bhagavad Gita as dharma siglani, disobedience to the laws of nature or God, at once there will be heavy punishment in the form of sudden outbreaks of war. We have recently experienced the war between India and Pakistan. Within 14 days, there have been immense losses of men and money, and there have been disturbances to the entire world. These are the reactions of sinful life. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to make people pure and perfect. If we become even partially pure, as described in Bhagavatam, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu, by development of Krishna consciousness, then lust and greed, the material diseases of the citizens, will be reduced. This can be made possible simply by broadcasting the pure message of Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna consciousness. Big commercial or industrial films have contributed, firms have contributed many thousands of rupees to a defense fund that burns the money in the form of gunpowder. But unfortunately, if they are asked to contribute liberally to advance the Krishna consciousness movement, they are reluctant. Under the circumstances, the world will periodically suffer from such upsurges and outbreaks of war, which are the consequences of not being Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada is explaining. Jai Shri Nitai Chand, Gaur Chand Bhagwan ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharaj, Sudarshan Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada is explaining here. The greatest calamity in life is to become godless and therefore sinful. So it is very interesting to see that now Prabhupada is making a contrast the Bombay government who could not change the hearts of people. and therefore they took to the supply of liquor so that at least the treasury gets inflated. So
During the COVID time also, in the lockdown,
COVID time also the government no, the first thing they started when they started to open up was to open up the liquor, and
kilometers of like
yeah, and people were waiting in for hours and kilometers of line to get liquor so that the treasury gets some money. So so it is not money, but it is heavy loads of sinful reactions. Because the government sinful, then they are getting heavy loads of sinful reactions back. So this is a beautiful contrast here between the uh, the inability of the Bombay government not being able to change the heart, whereas Prithu Maharaj, who was able to change the heart of the citizens. Very interesting to see what did Prithu Maharaj do. What did he actually do that the people's heart got changed? What did he actually do? This is a very interesting point. So the first thing with this purport is explained that Prithu Maharaj is a very great fighter. Oh, he was a very great fighter. So because he was such a great fighter, he was able to show off all the unnecessary elements, all the trouble creating elements, because of a very great fighter. So the corollary or the analogy is actually uh, therefore a preacher has to be a very powerful fighter, not physical fighter, but the vigor to push the message of Krishna. That is the point. The vigor to push the message of Krishna. Devotee has to be a very powerful fighter himself. So just like Prithu Maharaj, because he could push away all the unnecessary elements. Like a devotee also should punch off all the unnecessary elements which are troubling the society. So devotee should be very enthusiastic towards that objective. Devotee should be a preacher should be very enthusiastic. Very preacher should expertise, and he should be tirelessly working to win on that front. To be a very powerful fighter. Secondly, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that Prithu Maharaj engaged his citizens in pious activities and activities of devotion. So this goes to show that uh, this goes to show that Prithu Maharaj. So that means that there was the decorum to engage in positive activities like that. And the other part of the decorum was that there was a punishment if one engages in sinful activities. Is it not? So that's why Prabhupada is making the point that if a government is allowing illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, then the government is a failure government. Is it? So it's sinful. That means Prithu Maharaj was not allowing. That means Prithu Maharaj is not allowing illicit sex, meat eating.
the brother is also like rebellion. Then Prithu is given the responsibility to deliver them from the cycle
Yes.
of birth.
So this goes to show that Prithu Maharaj as a decorum had was pushing the citizens towards positive and activities which are pious and devotional, and he had created barriers and prohibitions towards any sinful activities. That means those were punishable. This becomes a clear point here that Prithu Maharaj has done that.
As parents, like
Yeah, like every parent may do that. In a similar way, Prithu Maharaj had done that for his citizens. so, so this is the point, and then it is explained that Prithu Maharaj, uh, uh, Prithu Maharaj. Now it is written here, and we have seen also. So Prithu Maharaj was offering protection to the citizens from all calamities. That means that actually means that Prithu Maharaj was supplying all the needs of the citizens as well, all possible needs of the citizens as well. That means the citizens were prosperous, the citizens were peaceful, the citizens were well fed, they had adequate facilities as well. So Prithu Maharaj is supplying on that front also. So, so now this is quite interesting. So on one hand, we now learning from the behavior of Prithu Maharaj, we understand. Okay, the preacher has to be the great fighter. He has to have the great zeal to help people to share Krishna consciousness. Uh, one should engage, or one should make a module for engaging people in pious activities, for checking people from sinful activities, and then to see that everyone is holistically taken care of, the body, mind, emotions, soul, everything, sensitivity and genuine help on every front. That is Krishna conscious teaching, is it not? Very amazing. Prithu Maharaj exemplified that, and that is so all this together could transform the people's hearts, and they gave up sinful activity to transform the people's heart. That's why they gave up sinful activity. Yeah. अतः स्वामिर्जयाश्रु कालविलोकयन् अतृप्तदृक्गोचरमाह पुरुषम् पादस्पृशन्तं क्षितिमंश उन्नते विन्यस्तहस्ताग्राम उराङ्गविद्विषाः. The Supreme Personality of Godhead stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground. While he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, the enemy of the snakes. Maharaj Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord, but it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. Thus the king offered the following prayer. The significant point in this verse is that the Lord was standing above the ground, almost touching it. The residents of the upper planetary systems, beginning from Brahmaloka, the planet where Lord Brahma lives, down to Svargaloka, the heavenly planet of Indra, are so advanced in spiritual life that when they come to visit this or similar other lower planetary systems, they keep their weightlessness. This means that they can stand without touching the ground. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because he lives in one of the upper planetary systems within this universe, he sometimes plays as if one of the demigods of this universe. When he first appeared before Prithu Maharaj, he was not touching the ground of this earth. But when he was fully satisfied with the behavior and character of Prithu Maharaj, he immediately acted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana from Vaikuntha. Out of affection for Prithu Maharaj, he touched the earth but he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, as if to prevent himself from falling down. Since the Lord is not accustomed to stand on the earthly ground, these are all symptoms of his great affection for Prithu Maharaj. Now, perceiving his fortunate position, Prithu Maharaj could not fully look upon the Lord due to ecstasy, but still in a faltering voice, he began to offer prayer. So Prabhupada is exhibiting that the Lord is acting like a demigod. And then the Lord took over his actual position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he overcome the limitations the demigods have. So Krishna acts to the normal notes or in ordinary ways, you know, to make himself more and more approachable. That is the only reason. Otherwise, there is no reason. Is it? To make himself more and more approachable. A Lord descends. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely extraordinary. Completely. That means the living entity can never touch Krishna or relate with Krishna because Krishna is completely extraordinary. But the Lord, out of his affection for the living entities, tried to hide his extraordinary and within the ordinary dealings which he displays. Like Lord Krishna as a small baby child is roaming around in the grooves of Vrindavan, from house to house, he's stealing butter. So he's performing like an ordinary child. So Krishna's effort is to make himself or his dealings ordinary so that the living entity can relate with him. That gives a channel for the living entity. So the Brajavasis, so now Krishna is dressed in like a cowherd boy, then all the Brajavasis are able to play with him. But suppose Krishna is there as no, in the form of Vishnu with four hands, Shankha Chakra, Gada Padma, like that, and nobody will be able to come near Krishna. Like that. So the relationship uh, to be able to relate to the Supreme Lord become very difficult. So the Krishna's no, so Krishna is completely extraordinary, but he wants to behave as if he is completely ordinary. No, to enhance his loving reciprocation with the devotees. So now Krishna's effort is the completely ordinary, and he is completely extraordinary. So how does it happen? So how do the two come together? The two come together in such a way that Krishna behaves ordinary as ordinary, but in between his extraordinary, effulgence or extraordinary shine, becomes visible. Just like Shiva's Thakur once. Now Lord Chaitanya was angry that Shiva's Thakur was addressing Lord Chaitanya as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Shiva's Thakur started doing like this, like this. And Lord Chaitanya, and he was telling Shivas, what are you doing? Shiva's Thakur was just doing like this. And Lord Chaitanya asked him, what are you doing? And Shiva said, you are trying to tell me to hide the sun with my hands, and I'm trying, but somehow it is not getting hidden. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And Lord Chaitanya could not say anything. So what did Shiva's mind? Shiva's Thakur is telling that you are like the sun. No, you are like the sun. You can say anything, but how can the sun be hidden by the two hands? Similarly, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No. Rajandanandana Jai Sachisuta Saida. So how is it possible? It is not possible. So similarly, you see the point is that Krishna uh, so this is the point that you see now this is the interesting duet happens that the materialists they keep on quoting the ordinary, you know, to pull down the the spiritualist that okay your God is mundane. No, that's what they keep doing, is it not? And the spiritualists keep on quoting the extraordinary, you know, to pull up these materialistic fellows, is it not? So that battle keeps on taking place, is it not? Right? So you see, the materialistic fellow will say, "Oh Lord Ramachandra, no, he could not even save his own wife, you know." So then finally got his wife. Then he was then he sent away his wife. You know why? You know, oh Krishna dances with so many girls. You know? So so these fellows, so they want to pull down because their excessive zoom is on the ordinary. Yeah. Whereas the devotees will say, okay, Krishna is dancing with so many girls, but before that he lifted the Govardhan, you know. So you cannot do dandiya, you know. First you lift something at least, you know. Isn't that you pass the lift test, again, like that, you know. And then you can go to the dandiya floor. Otherwise you cannot do dandiya, again. You better take the mala otherwise, is it not? That's the point, is it not? So, so this is the interesting aspect that the devotees, no, uh, Hanji? Oh, Lord Ramachandra made mountain boulders float in the ocean water, is it not? Yeah, can you make a needle float at least? No, is it not? So, no, so Lord Ramachandra made uh, mountains, rock boulders float on the ocean. Mm, yeah, Lord Ramachandra could use monkeys in service for success. Mm. Can one even channelize one's own son and daughter properly? So today Kali Yuga, people cannot even drive their sons and daughters. What they are going to compare with Lord Ramachandra? Is it not? That is the point. That is the point. Lord Ramachandra showed such an epitome of sacrifice and service for the citizens. And in his kingdom, there was nobody who was a muff. Nobody was demoniac. There was only one fellow, and the Lord, by his sacrifice, he transformed him also. Is it not? There was only that one fellow who made that statement against Mother Sita. Is it not? He was a Shudra chief. There was only one fellow in the kingdom. What a stats! Is it not? What a stats! And there also the Lord won him over by his sacrifice. Rather, Lord Ramachandra, Mother Sita together won him over. Is it not? So, so this is the glory of Lord Ramachandra, that in his kingdom, nobody was having ill feelings. Nobody was having animalistic feelings. No, that is the point. So, so you see the point, you know? Uh, you know, you see the point. It's like you are putting a, you know,